Hello and welcome back to Tribe Thursday. It seems like it's been forever since we talked to you guys, but it's only been 7 days. So here we are again with another great speaker, another great guest speaker who's going to give us some information about the school system. That has been the trending topic of what is going on, what is going to happen in school. What are we going to do with our students? What are we going to do with our babies? What are the teachers going to do? Everything. And I have a great person who's going to be as real as possible with us to let us know what's really going on. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. But before we get into that, again, you know who I am. My name is Leshundra Robinson. I am the executive director of the wonderful organization called UCAN of Memphis, where we are here to help our middle and high school students learn more about leadership development for their career exploration, as well as for our high school students. No, let's go back. For our middle school students for character building, for bullying prevention, as well as our high school students for leadership and career exploration. They all learn about how to get a job, so it all runs in together. So you know how to get in contact with us. You know what to do. Make sure that you share, like, and follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. And you can definitely find this particular segment on those channels. So without further ado, because we only have 30 minutes, we want to make sure that we get in and get out, and we have a lot of questions. Today is a little bit different. We normally do about 5, but today we're going to do about 7 questions because I know that it's so much information that our parents and our students and the community want to know about, and we want to give you as much information as possible. So without further ado, let me introduce to you the wonderful, the amazing mother, school board member, friend, Miss Stephanie Love. Yes!
Wow, so thank you for that introduction. As stated, I am Stephanie Love. I represent District 3, which includes Raleigh-Fraser in the northern part of Shelby County, which is North Haven, Lucy, Woodstock, and of course, E.E. Jeter. As a school board member over the last 6 years, I have most definitely made sure that the district I represent is heard, and also making sure that the questions that parents have are answered, or at least an answer is attempted to be given. Sometimes we don't have all of the answers, which is why we look to the community, we look to parents, we look to our community partners like you can to help us with the answers and with guidance on what needs to take place as it relates to education in our Shelby County school system. I'm also in a position now to where I'm running for re-election to the current school board. And I feel that my voice, my value, and my visibility have most definitely afforded me the opportunity to remain in this seat for 6 years and hopefully for another 4 years. So thank you, Ms. Robinson, for asking me to join you. And I hope that all the answers that I give can be used so our parents can make the best decision possible as it relates to sending their children to school or choosing virtual learning.
Yes, because this has been very challenging for parents, students, and even for community leaders like myself. We just don't know what to do, what's going to happen, which direction to go. So, and we just want answers, but we know at the end of the day, it's still up to us to make the right decision. So with that being said, we're going to dive right into the questions. With the first question is going to be, is it truly that they will be teaching online and in person at the same time? And if so, how will the teachers be able to monitor who has questions?
So that was discussed last night, and what we were told per the presentation was that there are schools that have additional staff where this would not be a requirement, where the teacher would most definitely teach in person, and then there would be another educator teaching online. The concern that a board member had, as well as myself, and I'm sure other board members, is some of our schools that are not big schools, meaning they may only have about 200, 300 students, where the staff is already limited, in which we know a lot of times those schools have academic challenges, with our children already. So To have a teacher, or to say that a teacher would be required to teach children in person and also teach children online, I think is very unrealistic. I think it's unfair to the teacher and to the student. So as a board, we're most definitely working to assure that this does not happen, because I don't see how an educator would be able to teach in person and monitor what's taking place online. And no one's talking about increasing their salary. No one's talking about giving them a stipend, because they would actually be doing two things at one time. So that is most definitely a concern that board members have expressed. We did discuss that last night. And I'm going to be very intentional around making sure that this does not happen to the schools in my district.
Please, please do, because I even had the opportunity to do a class meeting online, and it was my first one. And I can say that trying to teach in person as well as online was extremely challenging, because you have kids who may have questions, you have kids that may not be talking. In the background, there's a disturbance. So it's so many different challenges that come with that. And I know for the teachers, we want to make sure we keep them happy, because we need them in the classroom, which goes into our second question. Teaching online is challenging with 20 to 30 students. So how would it be ensured that the app used won't crash? And if so, how will they bring it back up and have students log in?
So realistically, there is no way that we can ensure that it does not crash. I know even with me just visiting some websites, they crash where the website is down, and the provider of that website, they may have done everything possible, to ensure that the website is up to par. I think what we have to do is, like I suggested last night, we need to do a trial run before we say all students will be online. I think we need to do a trial run, especially with certain zip codes in certain areas where we know the internet service is not always 100%. Even we had a board member ask last night about just the accessibility for some parents who may not have utilities, or if the power goes out. I know that in some areas, if you pour water outside, the power goes out. If it sprinkles, the power goes out in certain areas. And depending on where you live, they may not ever say it, but we know by just by what we've seen, depending on where you live, the priority to restore that service is not always a top priority, which means that we have a lot of inner city neighborhoods where the power is out for an extended period of time, where there are no trucks out even working on the power. So there's no way that we can guarantee that everything will be 100%, up to par. But what we can do is to do trial runs, test runs, where we have a large amount of students logging in on a platform to see, what's working, what isn't working. And then it goes back to, how do we connect with AT&T? How do we connect with Comcast? How do we connect with other internet providers to see what they can do, to see if they can increase the speed of the internet in certain neighborhoods, or in certain buildings or schools, so that parents in that community can have access to a higher quality of internet service.
Stephanie, you are hitting the nail. I promise you, because I stay in the Raleigh Bartlett area, but I'm also close to the Fraser area too. So our internet service goes in and out, where it used to not do that. But now the internet goes in and out where the connection is not as strong. And I have AT&T. So, and as a matter of fact, I was going to get online with AT&T today and tell them this is unacceptable, because we have so many things to do, especially in my home, where I need my internet service. So I can imagine for those areas in the North Memphis, the Fraser, and the Raleigh area, where the internet service may not be as strong. And we're talking about those students that need that Wi-Fi source. And if that is not available, then they're not going to be online. And there you go. They missed a class setting for it. So yeah, this is a lot. It's definitely a lot. And I know you guys will make the right decision, but this is a lot. It's a lot to really make a decision on, because you can't control every household. And I didn't even think about the running water. I didn't think about that some of the parents may not even have electricity, and the kids are not going to come to the school and say they've been sleeping in the dark. They're not going to come to the school and say, I'm wearing the same clothes because we didn't have any running water. You made me go back and think about one of the students that we had in our teen talk session during the summertime. And when I took her home, she was like, we share the same toothbrush, or they share the same clothes, the same shoes. These are things that I remember as you were talking, that I encountered with some of those students who live in those areas. So yeah, we definitely need to make sure that we get in contact with AT&T. Well, y'all get in contact with AT&T and Comcast.
I'll do it.
I'm gonna speak my voice on it today, though. Definitely with AT&T.
You can.
Yes, you can, and I will. So when we talk about the virus, and especially from the homes that they're coming from, some of them may not have traveled out the country, but some of them may have still been encountered with the virus and not know about it. We've learned that you may not even have the symptoms and you can have the virus. So how will the mask be monitored for each student, and what is the consequences if they can't keep it on? Because some students are asthmatic.
Well, I think that's another challenge that we have, because we do have families who do not believe that COVID-19 is real. So they, as adults, do not wear masks. They do not practice social distancing. They are not adhering to anything that the CDC or the health department has put in place. So as a school district, one thing that I know we'll have to struggle with is, how do we tell parents that although you don't believe in this, this is a mandate, this is a requirement. And then what happens if, that child comes to school and the parent is saying, I don't want my child to wear a mask. And although we've offered, another alternative, which is online services, but they say they don't want that. So I think those are most definitely conversations that the administration is most definitely thinking about, and trying to find solutions for that. But even with just the city of Memphis, we have so many children who have suffered from asthma. So just even requiring a child to sit in a building for 6.5, 7 hours a day with a mask on, in my opinion, is unrealistic. Because as an adult, I cannot do that. There are places where I go if I'm out and I have a mask on, and sometimes I have to disassociate myself from the entire crowd and go off and, take my mask off, or go sit in my vehicle. I can't imagine sitting somewhere for 6.5 hours. I tried it and I could not do it. So imagine telling a young child that this is what they have to do. I do know that the district has purchased, or they're in the process of purchasing, face shields. And I have one of those as well. So I've worn one of those. And I do like those better. But then there is also a price to it. And I know in the reentry plan is saying that parents are required to make sure their children have masks. And I am going to question it and push further on that, because I think as a school district, we should provide the masks. And like I've stated before, the city and the county, they receive millions of dollars for COVID relief. I do know that the city is in the process of giving us $5 million to offset some of those costs. But realistically, they receive that money because of the citizens who live inside Memphis city limits, and also the entire county of Shelby. So the students that we educate are also the constituents of the city and the county. So I just feel that all hands should be on deck. This should not be a requirement that Shelby County schools must do. And because we don't have the funds, then we want to push that down on our parents. I think it's unfair. I think it's unrealistic. And I think it's time for us during this COVID-19 era, and it should have already happened, where our elected bodies need to ensure that our students are provided for, which means that the constituents that voted us in office are provided for.
I definitely agree with that. And I will hold us accountable as well as we enter into the various schools, hopefully, that we will be in. And we will also provide masks for those students and school supplies too for the students that we will be servicing. So we're definitely going to be holding our own self accountable according to funding. So yeah, we definitely know about funding. And we're a nonprofit, and funding is extremely important for us. So what would social distancing look like on site in the classroom?
So social distancing will look like maybe instead of 25 students in a classroom, you'll probably have 7. The desks will be separated. Supplies will be used per individual student and not shared like sometimes in the past. Um, just no more of the hugging, getting in the groups, having, even with I'm still wondering how they're going to do it with pre-K and kindergarten, because a lot of their instruction time is based on group instruction. With pre-K, they have the different centers where they go to, the different parts of the room where it's, just fine motor skill building, housekeeping, just where those centers are providing students with the opportunity to interact with other students, to teach them how to share, conflict resolution. And so when we're dealing with COVID-19, all of that has to be dissolved. So how do we tell students they live to touch each other, they live to hug, they live to play, they live to share. And now we have to tell them, no, you can't do that. Even with just walking down the hall, it has to be 6 feet. So it's no, when you see your friend, you can't run up to them and give them a hug, you can't speak. Just gathering in the cafeteria, where you can talk and reminisce, and like all of that stuff is gone. All of that is gone. So I don't know how we're going to require our students to forget everything that they've been taught and to pretty much go to school in their very own bubble, because that's what it's going to be like. So I don't know, and I think that it doesn't mean that we're not preparing ourselves. I think that it just means there are some questions that we do not have the answers to, and we won't be able to answer those questions until we see what COVID-19 is going to do, because we can put plans in place, and I think the plan we have in place is good. There are some things that need to be more defined in the plan, but honestly, this all depends on what COVID-19 will do. You know, what is Corona going to bring us next month? What is Corona going to bring us next week? Those are questions that we do not know. So we can prepare, which we are doing, but all of these plans can go down the drain depending on what COVID-19 does or doesn't do.
Well, let me applaud you guys, because you're definitely right. You guys are working very hard on preparing for the what ifs. And I know as a community, we're still like, but that's not good enough. But in reality, you can't make a full decision because you don't know. You just don't know. Businesses don't know. Schools, parents, community leaders, we just don't know what will happen. So, yes, I do want to applaud Shelby County Schools for making a preparation and getting things together for the what ifs. So when it does happen, we can know these are the things that it's still going to be a lot of trial and error, just like the summer learning program that you guys have now online. It's still in trial and error. So all we can do is just work with it, because nothing is set in stone on what can happen. And we just have to work with it. Oh, this is a lot. This is like I go out for I just want to tear up for it, because as you was talking, I was like, this is a lot for especially pre-K and kindergarten, all elementary, because I know when I go out and I talk to bullying prevention, they love to come up and give me a hug. Hey, Miss Robinson, can't touch me,
Right.
feet apart. They were like, what? And that may be the only touch that they receive because their home may be toxic. Oh, Stephanie, let me stay on topic because this right here, hit,
Right.
man, this
You
goes back.
know, and the universal love language is a hug.
Yes,
You know, it is a hug. You know, everyone, we thrive to be embraced. I know even as infants, if they don't have that, I read a study where there were infants who actually died because they didn't have that embrace. They didn't have that person, you know, to hug them, to love on them,
yeah,
to show any type of affection. So, you know, it's going to be hard, especially for our educators, because our educators are huggers too.
right.
You know, so and then they love to see smiles on the children's faces. They love when our children succeed. They love when our children reach a milestone, and the first thing they do is, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, give me a hug. So how do we, you know, how do we stop that and say, oh no, you can't do that? You know, I mean, a fist bump is one thing, a
Right.
high five is one thing, but to have someone hug you and tell you they're so proud of you like that, it does something to you, and it makes you want to do better. So I don't, you know, so I don't know how. Um, you know, I'm praying for the educators
Me,
because
and
I
which
don't,
goes into our
I
next
don't know how
question
you
about our
do it.
educators. So, has the district act? How are the teachers feeling about even going back into the classroom or wearing a mask all day? Have they talked to them?
So I don't think that that part of the conversation or that part of the plan has been fully implemented. We did, as a board, you know, we did state that that is most definitely something that needs to take place. I know last night I stated that. Actually, our educators should have been the first people asked, will you be returning to school? And then that would have given us a baseline of the number of teachers who would return, the number of teachers who would not return, so we could know what our capacity is, for the school. I know we have a long list of subs. Have we reached out to them to ask them, are they comfortable teaching inside of a building? And if not, how do we support them with the resources needed so if needed, they can teach online? You know, like I said, we don't know what COVID-19 will bring. So I think that it's better for us to be over prepared than for us to be underprepared. But just asking the community for grace and understanding, because like I stated before, we can prepare for everything. But in reality, COVID-19 will let us know what we can and what we can't do.
You heard that, guys. Give them some grace and mercy, you know, because they're trying. And I know we see it as though they're not. We like, you guys should have this already prepared, just like the president. But they're not. They can't make that final decision because tomorrow it can say we no longer have COVID, which is unrealistic, but you know, you just don't know. So we really have to give them grace and mercy and make a decision for ourselves too. Because if we feel more comfortable as a parent to teach our child at home, you need to know what your household is able to do. Are you going to be at home to assure that your child is going to be, you know,
Right.
efficient in what they're doing? Are you going to make sure that they're going to be dependable? Are they really going to be paying attention, or are they going to be distracted? Are you going to have a particular area in your home where this is your classroom for that child? What are you going to do? We can't constantly keep putting it on Shelby County Schools. We can't constantly keep putting it on the teachers. And this has definitely taught us that it goes back to us. It's just like with bullying. I made the prime example that since COVID, we have not heard anything about bullying. We haven't.
And
And
it's increased online.
right, and it has increased online. And so
Mhm.
when we talked about it, we said, people said, well, it started at school. No, it starts at home. And it starts with something that maybe they're not getting at the house, and now they're putting it on social media because they're still trying to get that attention. We need to take accountability. We need to be responsible for our own actions for our own child. And when we're preparing to send them back to school, if that is your decision, you are still responsible for what's going to happen. So let's all take a part of accountability and give them some grace and mercy on what's going on, but also making sure that you know exactly what you're going to feel comfortable with doing, and then make that decision for yourself. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't do it and that, you know, you're wrong. Nobody knows your household. Nobody knows your child better than you. So do what's going to be best for you. I'm going to leave it like that.
And also just making sure that parents go ahead and register your children.
Yes.
We're in the process now of putting plans in place, but the reality is 100% of our parents have not registered their children. So how do we realistically, and I want you to think about this, how do we realistically put plans in place and make sure that we have enough educators inside the building and enough educators to do online service for the children when we don't even know what school they're going to? We don't even know if they're coming back to the district. So from a parent to a parent, there are things that we must do first to ensure that the school will have the adequate resources needed for our students. So go ahead and register your students. That way we can have a realistic number, because what normally happens is towards the end or even the first week of school, we have all these parents registering their students, and then we have to go and find educators for those buildings because the enrollment did not support all of the educators staying there, which puts principals in an uncomfortable position, because if they have to release some teachers, and then those teachers are going to go find jobs elsewhere. And then when the students do come, principals have to go and find other teachers and go through the process of training them, getting them acclimated to the school, when those teachers who were there at first could have probably been there if, you know, if more parents would have registered their children, you know, during the registration process. So it's not a only you, it's a we. You know, there are parts that we all must play to ensure that this school year is successful.
Hashtag we're in this together.
Right.
So as we're getting ready to wrap up, I did post on our page about what was going on, and I asked I asked the parents how did they feel, and I only had one response, and she said, I'm going back and forth on making a decision on what her daughter was going to do. My daughter is starting middle school. I'm so torn. If she stays, my work will suffer. If she goes, she may bring a virus back home. I just don't know. Can you give her some light to her fears?
As a parent, I share those same fears. So I have two children, a high schooler and a middle schooler. I have seen the plan of the high school. It is a small high school, so I'm confident that my rising 10th grader will adhere to the social distancing policies or rules put in place. Because here, whenever we go out, you must have a mask on. In my house now, a mask is like washing your face. You don't leave out the house without doing it. My rising seventh grader, I have not made a decision. And honestly, even with everything that has been provided to me, I can't make a decision. I don't know what to do. I most definitely have to work, and I know that she cannot be here by herself to do online services. But I am kind of concerned because she is a middle schooler. They're still going through the phase of learning themselves. So sometimes they do test the rules to see, you know, if this rule is broken, you know, what my consequences are. So I'm still confused. And one of my biggest things is, like I stated, the cleanliness of the building. You know, I got to make sure that the schools my children attend, as well as you as parents, you have to make sure that those buildings are clean and they're going to be able to provide what needs to take place. So from a parent to a parent, I'm still confused. And I know that we have a deadline where we have to submit where our children are going. I can't tell you that I'm going to meet that deadline because I've been weighing all options, and I don't know. I don't know. Um, I know that I've had an educator reach out to me to let me know that they may be providing some online support, because I can't teach my children. Even if my child is online and there is a question, I can't be there to answer. You know, I mean, I do hair. I'm not I'm not in academics, so I'm confused. I'm confused. We're all confused. So I don't have an answer, because I'm in the same predicament that you're in.
We're all in this together. Hashtag is all I can say.
We're all in this together.
Well, I have enjoyed talking to you, Stephanie. You have definitely given me some insight about what's truly going on and really raised my eyebrows on some thinking that we as a community need to do. How can the parents, or where do the parents need to do to register? Where do they need to go? What do they need to do? What do they need to bring? And then how can they get in contact with you in 1 minute or less?
So parents, you can most definitely go to our website, www.scsk12.org. If you are a current parent of Shelby County Schools, you should already be receiving messages, text messages, emails about everything that's taking place. If you're not receiving it, it's because we do not have your current information. So all you have to do is log in, select the school, and register your children. The process is very simple. If your student previously attended a Shelby County school, if you want to get in contact with me, my number is 901-833-5160, 901-833-5160, or love S1 at scsk12.org, LOVES, the number 1 at scsk12.org. And for anyone who's interested in talking to the board member, when you go on the website, you can click on board members, find out who your board member is, click on their name, the information will pop up, and feel free to reach out to us. We are most definitely here to support you, to stand with you, and to ensure that your voice is heard, not only through COVID-19, but every day that your child is in our educational system.
Man, I love the way you wrapped that up. That was good. I'm going to have to take that and post it on there. Well, you heard it from Miss Love, Miss Stephanie Love, who is running for what district?
3.
District 3. So you need to make sure that you vote, understand what the problems are. She's going to be able to help you with some solutions, hear your concerns, and she's very straightforward. So thank you again, Miss Love, for being on our Tribe Thursday. Thank you guys for continuing to following us and watching our Tribe Thursday. Again, my name is Leshundra Robinson. I am the executive director of the wonderful organization of UCAN of Memphis. That was my timer that said that time is up. I'm trying to keep it on board. So make sure you follow us, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure that people are truly watching what we're saying. So again, we will see you on next Thursday for Tribe Thursday. You never know who I may bring along. See you then. Bye, Miss Love.
Bye-bye.